Hello everyone, I'm William the Storyteller, and I'm here to guide you into a peaceful rest tonight. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps. Also, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. The rain had started in the early evening, soft at first, like whispers tapping at the windows of the quiet house nestled deep in the old forest. By nightfall, it was pouring steadily, drenching the dense canopy of trees and drumming against the rooftop like thousands of tiny footsteps. The house, old and forgotten by most, stood alone, hidden by miles of overgrown trail and tangled vines, and surrounded by the tall, stoic pines that bent only slightly in the wind. Inside, the silence was broken only by the rhythmic creak of the wooden beams and the sighs of the house settling, as if tired from keeping so many secrets for so many years. Eleanor had come to the house alone, seeking a few days of solitude. She was a writer, the kind who thrived on isolation and silence, and the remote cottage promised both. A friend of a friend had offered it to her. A family property no longer used, they'd said, with no electricity and only a fireplace for warmth. It was exactly what she'd needed, or so she thought when she packed her bags and drove 3 hours into the woods. Now, with the storm thickening and darkness falling like a curtain, Eleanor felt a strange pull in her chest, an awareness that she was utterly, entirely alone. And not just alone, unwatched. The house was 2 stories, with a lofted bedroom above and a clawfoot tub tucked into a tiled corner by the window. The downstairs had a fireplace, a small kitchen with stone counters, and a dusty armchair that smelled faintly of pine and age. She'd lit a few candles as the storm came in, their flickering light casting long, crooked shadows on the wooden floor. She sat with her notebook on her lap, trying to write, but the words would not come. Instead, her eyes kept drifting toward the windows. It wasn't that she'd heard anything, it was more the feeling that someone or something was nearby. That uncanny sensation of presence just beyond the glass, just beyond the trees. She told herself it was nonsense, a trick of the wind or the mind. Yet she stood up and checked the doors anyway, bolting them, then drawing the curtains tight. The unease settled just behind her sternum, heavy and strange. When she finally went to bed, the rain had become thunder, distant and low. She pulled the covers to her chin and tried to read, but the shadows in the corners of the room were different now, less like darkness and more like shape. She told herself it was just her imagination. After all, the house was old, and old houses creak. But when the wind stopped for just a moment and everything went silent, she heard something else, soft, almost like cloth dragging across floorboards. She sat up, heart hammering, and held her breath. The sound was gone, but the feeling wasn't. The next day was gray and wet. She didn't leave the house. There were still hours of writing to do, and she forced herself to work by the fire. Her thoughts drifted again and again to the noises from the night before, but she said nothing out loud, saying it would make it real. Still, when she walked past the window near the back of the house, she froze. There, just at the edge of the tree line, were footprints. Small, bare, as if someone had stood there staring at the house. She went outside, against her better judgment. The prints were already fading in the mud, washed away by the rain, but she had seen them. Someone had been here. Her phone had no signal, and she hadn't seen another car or house for miles on her way in. She told herself it had to be an animal, or maybe her eyes were playing tricks on her. But when she returned to the house, the door was slightly ajar. She hadn't left it that way. That night, she didn't sleep. She sat in the armchair near the fire, wrapped in a blanket, listening. The wind howled once or twice, but mostly it was the silence that unnerved her, the weight of it like the house was listening too. And then she heard it again, the sound from the night before. A slow, dragging shuffle across the upstairs floorboards. Eleanor didn't move. She didn't even breathe. Her eyes fixed on the staircase, and she watched for minutes, maybe more, until something moved. Not fully, not clearly. Just the shift of shadow at the top of the stairs. She whispered to herself, "It's just the dark," and closed her eyes. But when she opened them again, the shadow was gone, and so was the candlelight. The fire flickered and died just past midnight, and the room went cold. She didn't remember falling asleep, but she must have, because when she woke up, it was morning. The door was closed again, the windows still locked. And yet, something was different. The rug had moved, just slightly. The ash in the fireplace was scattered, as if someone had stepped through it. And on the window pane, drawn with a finger in the condensation, was a word: stay. The next day she packed her things, determined to leave. She didn't care how long it took to get back to town. But the car wouldn't start. The battery was fine. The engine turned over once, twice, and then nothing. Her heart dropped. She didn't have tools, didn't know the way back on foot, not through miles of muddy forest trail. She screamed loud and long, and the forest swallowed the sound like it had never existed. That night, the storm returned with a vengeance. Lightning streaked across the windows. Rain battered the roof. And Eleanor sat with her back against the wall, holding the fireplace poker like a weapon. The sounds upstairs returned, slow, dragging steps one at a time. She didn't move, didn't speak. Then the steps stopped, and something began knocking. Not at the door. From inside the house. Soft taps, like knuckles brushing wood, came from the hall closet. Eleanor stood, every nerve in her body on fire. She approached slowly. The tapping grew louder, more frantic. She reached for the handle, hands shaking, then stopped. What if she opened it and found nothing? Or worse, something? She didn't open it. She backed away, step by step, until she returned to the fireplace. Then the knocking stopped. The silence returned. And from the shadows at the edge of the room, something moved. Not a shadow. A shape. Thin, long-limbed, crawling along the floor with jerking motions. Its head turned too slowly. Its eyes were too wide. And its mouth, a gaping, trembling line, opened in silence. Eleanor screamed. She closed her eyes. When she opened them again, the thing was gone. Nothing moved. The knocking had stopped. She doesn't remember how she got through the night. The next morning, she left everything behind. Bags, notebooks, even her coat. The car still wouldn't start, but she walked. Through the rain. Through the mud. Through the forest. It took her 7 hours before she reached a roadside cabin where someone finally helped her. She never went back to the house. But sometimes, when the rain falls heavy and the night is still, she hears the tapping again. On her bedroom window. On the back of her closet door. A slow, rhythmic knocking. Always 3 times. Always in the dark. And sometimes, just before sleep, she dreams of that thing again. Watching. Waiting. Whispering the same word again and again.